Hi guys, I am sitting in the car and I figured that there's no better time, I guess, to do my birth story and how it went, in hopes that that'll make me feel better, because I am struggling with a little bit. I'm gonna say it's a little bit of postpartum depression, because I'm way past the baby blues. I'm struggling a little bit and I need something to just uplift my spirits, so I'm gonna tell the story. It was October the 24th and it was about 3 p.m. I ended up taking a teaspoon of castor oil as a laxative, not really to spark up labor or anything. I was 37 weeks at that point in about 4 days. Yeah, because she was born at 37 weeks 6 days, so I was 37 weeks 4 days. Took that at 3 p.m. It didn't do anything initially until later that night. I began to have involuntary contractions, which I could not believe the kind of involuntary contractions I was having, because I only took like a little bit of castor oil. And in the past, I have taken castor oil. I know people are so against that. I took the whole 2 tablespoons it was to try to induce labor before, and it did absolutely nothing. That baby was not trying to come out. If your body is not ready, your baby's not ready, the baby's not coming out. It don't matter if you take castor oil or not. You would just have went through pain and involuntary contractions for no reason. If the baby's not ready, the baby's not coming. So I did that. I had involuntary contractions that night. I ended up getting a bath, and then I lay in my bed with a heating pad and I went to sleep, because they was annoying, but they weren't so bad that I couldn't fall asleep. So I fell asleep. I woke up, and when I woke up in the morning, I still had cramps, and they were in the right place where cramps needed to be, that would give you an indication that there's labor. However, I had already experienced those kind of cramps weeks prior to the birth of Sarai. I went to the restroom that morning and it was a bloody show. So I reached out to my birthing team and let them know, okay, I had a teaspoon of castor oil, and this morning there is a bloody show. My midwife let me know that I had already been 2 to 3 centimeters dilated the week prior, that I most likely have dilated myself more, regardless of how minuscule that castor oil was. However, I was far enough along, so if I went into labor, everything was going to be fine. Sarai was nice and healthy. All was well. We got to 9:15 probably that night, and I probably had my first contraction. However, I was having back spasms. And when I tell you, I didn't know that there was a pain worse than contractions. These back spasms were coming in replace of a contraction. And at first, I didn't know. I had experienced these back spasms before, but not to the intensity that it had occurred. When I tell you, this back spasm shot up my body, and I fell to my knees in the bathroom. And my 5-year-old, he was 4 at the time, but my 5-year-old came running behind me. Y'all know, it was Mellow. He came behind me. He wasn't laughing. He doesn't know, okay? Y'all know, if you know, you know. He didn't know no better. So he's cracking up behind me, and Kier comes to get him, and I messaged my birthing team to let them know I don't think I'm having contractions, but I'm having these back spasms. And eventually my midwife was just count those back spasms as contractions, because they probably are you contracting, but it's turning into a back spasm because your daughter is probably bearing down. However, she's probably bearing down in she's not in place correctly, so it's causing maybe hitting a nerve opposed to pushing down where it's supposed to push down. And she had told me to put my head and my arms when the contraction happened, or the back spasm was happening, in between my knees, and get down on the ground bottom up until maybe she moved into place. And that did work after a few times. So backtrack a little bit. I was not having those back spasms close. So it's about 9:15, and I want to say I ended up having another one maybe like 10 minutes later. I had another one, and they were kind of like spread out like that, like nothing close, nothing that made me feel like, oh, you're in labor or this is active labor, because I have had a lot of labor like symptoms, or I think they would call it predominal labor, weeks leading up to having her. So I'm always in denial when we get to that day, because I'm like, okay, I've been through this before. So my doula eventually, it was 10 something at night, and she was like, I'm coming over. And I was like, no, like, I'm not in labor, don't come over. And she was like, okay, if you're not in labor, I'll just go home because I live really close to you, but I'm gonna come anyway. And I'm just like, no. Like, I was so in denial, like I always seem to be. I'm like, no, do not come. Like, I'm not in labor. She comes anyway, and she begins to do like this counter pressure thing to my back, which, listen, if you don't have a doula, like, take some sort of doula class and let your partner learn how to do that counter back pressure stuff, because I've never had that, and I had it this time, and it was literally chef's kiss. It was so helpful. Like, I really wish I knew that like first child. So she was doing that, and she got like worried. Like, she's like, you're in labor. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm calling my mom. My mom was like, you're in labor. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's like, what are you talking about? What are y'all talking about? Like, get out of my house. She was like, I'm gonna call your midwife. And I was just like, no. Like, my midwife was like, ended up getting on the phone with me, like, and was like, Kanela, like, do you want me to come? And I ended up just like saying yeah, because I'm like, I don't know, maybe they see something I don't see. I don't think I'm in labor, but maybe they see something I don't see. She also lived relatively close to me, so when she got to me, she checked me, and she said I was 6 centimeters. So I was actually in active labor. I was just in denial. From there, it was just a vibe. It was very peaceful home birth, a vibe. I was just in my living room, which I'm gonna put a clip right here. I was just in my living room on my hands and knees, and every time I would have a contraction, my doula would do counter pressure. My husband, I had woke him up. He was sitting on the steps recording the video, and my midwife was sitting like in front of him or like near him, and it was just, I had Kiera turn on some tunes on the TV, and other than waiting on me to have contractions, it was just like we were talking, a kiki, a ha-ha, very peaceful. Eventually, I ended up moving upstairs because I was like, I think I have to go to the restroom, which I'll enter that clip in as well. If y'all did not watch my labor and delivery video, the labor and delivery video starts right there where I was in the bathroom on the toilet thinking I had to use the bathroom, but it was really just pressure from her bearing down at this point. Altogether, like when I was in actual active labor to when I had her, they counted that as me having a 4-hour labor, which is my longest labor. However, was very peaceful, very paced out well, and it wasn't excruciating. And I thank God for that. The Lord had told me the day that I had gotten an official diagnosis Down syndrome. I heard in the spirit that my daughter needed to stay in the womb until October 26th. And I wrote it down in the calendar. I told my husband, and I moved on. So I told my midwife, I said, at 12 o'clock, you can check me. And whatever I am, I will tell you if I want you to break my water, because I made it to the day that the Lord said I had to make it to. That was literally what I said. And I went to the bathroom. I came out around 12 something. She checked me. I was 8 centimeters. And I let her break my water, which I'm not going to enter that in because there's no way for y'all to see her actually breaking my water without showing y'all too much. Y'all could just go watch the video. Y'all will see what y'all need to see. And so she broke my water at 12 something, and Sarai was born at 1:00. Oh my goodness, was it 1:03? Either 1:03 or 1:05 a.m. I'm gonna have to check the time on the video. And that was how that went. I ended up like getting up and getting in the shower afterwards, and Kiera was in there with the baby while they did all the things. I was not present for them, like doing her weight, doing anything, putting things on her eyes. I was in the shower. They helped me get in the shower. I wanted to be by myself. And afterwards, I got out of the shower. They like checked me, pushed on my belly like one time, told me like what to look for, what to watch for. And it was about 3 a.m. in the morning. I told Kira, you can go to sleep. And I really was like, are y'all done? Are you guys done? Like at this point, I was so exhausted. I wanted to go to sleep. And so I did. And that was my labor and delivery story. It was just a vibe. It was so, there was nothing that just like, that went wrong. That was scary. Also, I want to tell y'all, that counter pressure and those comb things. If you watch the video, I tried those comb things, which I'm sure is another counter pressure. Both of those were chef kiss. If you are in labor, those combs do what they need to do. I don't. It's something about it. That and that counter pressure did what it needed to do. But that was my labor and delivery story time. I think y'all should go check out the video because I love it. It was such an experience, and I would encourage anybody, if you are a person who has natural labors and there's not anything, you know, high risk about your pregnancy and you don't have any epidural, just have a home birth, girl. But thank you guys for watching. Bye.